And welcome back on Take Action News with David Shuster. This is executive producer Daniel Marins. We're continuing our debate about education reform and the state of education reform in this country in the wake of the massive cheating scandal in the Atlanta City Public Schools. And we are speaking with Marcus Winters, arguing for what I would call the more competitiveness, test-based evaluations, partially test-based evaluation side of the education reform spectrum. And he's a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, and Leonie Hyamson, the executive director of Class Size Matters. Briefly, Marcus, picking up where we left off, why not the Montgomery County, Maryland system? Why was it taken out of consideration just because it didn't have a strong testing component?
Very familiar with the particular Montgomery County system. I mean, as far as why it wasn't in consideration for Race to the Top, I could ask that question about a lot of places that I think probably should have gotten a little more consideration.
But the point is that tests are not necessary.
Well, the test scores are necessary, though. So I can't talk specifically to that program, but what I can say is that, look, the test scores are providing us with information that the current system is just simply missing. They are not perfect, which is why we should never use a single year's assessment of teachers using these test scores to make employment decisions. But that said, if a teacher over a multi-year period is doing really poorly according to these measures, that is not a teacher that you want your child to be educating, to be teaching your students. The problem is that the current system simply throws away that information that we have at our disposal now. And they're throwing this information away about the public school system's most important resource, which is, the quality of teacher in the classroom. I would address, another thing that came up as far as, under the value-added systems, few teachers are being removed. And, there was a big New York Times story about this the other day, and that's true, but that's not value-added's problem. The reason for that is not value-added. The reason for that is that the system, one, is setting very low standards even based on value-added, and second, is incorporating a large subjective components, and principals are still going about and labeling every teacher as effective along the way. What we need is a culture that takes seriously trying to evaluate and identify our best and worst teachers and acting accordingly.
But don't we need a culture that also values teachers enough to pay them as much as highly paid private sector professionals? Because I think about the system that exists in Ontario, Canada, for instance. Those teachers went on strike in 1993, and since then they've had a very amicable relationship. They get paid more relative to other private sector jobs in Canada than our teachers do in America, and yet Ontario has some of the highest education standards in the world. That's with an extremely cooperative teachers union and a non-adversarial approach. Are we beating up on teacher unions too much, Leonie?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we're beating up on teachers far too much, and we claim, even the corporate reformers claim to respect teachers, but then we ignore their input when it comes to how our schools should be run and what policies should be implemented. So if you go to teachers across the country and you do national surveys or even surveys in individual locations, overwhelmingly, if they are asked what are the best ways to improve their effectiveness, number one always comes out reduced class size. And that's over 90 to 95% of teachers say the best way to improve the quality of teaching in the classroom is to reduce class size. And yet over and over, class sizes have been increased in recent years. The Gates Foundation has funded many studies in so-called think tanks saying we should not be spending our money on reducing class size. In fact, we should be increasing class size. And putting out essentially bogus reports that have no factual evidentiary basis behind them. Class size reduction is one of only 4 or 5 K-12 reforms which the Institute of Education Sciences, which is the research arm of the U.S. Department of Education, has said have proven to work to improve student achievement through rigorous evidence. As I said, more than 90% of teachers say that it would be the best way to improve teacher quality. It's something that taxpayers, or even Republicans and Democrats, are willing to pay more for if they know the money is going to go to reduce class size. And yet it is the number one thing that the corporate reformers and the Bill Gates and his other billionaire cronies want to make sure that never happens in New York City public schools or in public schools across the country.